Well, I'm en route down to Steve's. It's raining still some more again because it's May and it's Salt Lake and that's what it does. But I'm en route down there. We're going to be trying out the new cars that Alan has built to enclose said little GoPro over here that I'm shooting with so that we can film ostensibly from inside the passenger cars on Steve's Railroad. It's an exciting concept and a good deal of fun. There's a lot of little miniature cameras on the market for doing this sort of thing now. Well, they're not really intended for doing model railroads, but you know what? They work just great for that, so that's what we're going to be using them for. In many ways, Steve's Railroad is ideal for this. The scenery wraps completely around the tracks in a lot of places. In fact, it's often difficult to see the trains. Moreover, the railroad has a super high level of finish. O-scale guy Al Badham is the principal creator of these wonderful little cars, and I'll let him explain to you how they work.
One evening, we were all sitting around Madame Wu's, listening to the stride styles of the professor, when Dale announced he'd acquired a new camera, a GoPro, which is small enough that it could adequately be stuffed into an ON3 car. The first effort was a passenger car, and it has 3 windows, 4 seats, pretty much finished, and then we started experimenting. We found that the GoPro, when installed, blocked much of the light that would have illuminated the interior. We initially debated the use of lights on the inside of the car, but somebody came up with the idea of mirrors in either end, and I do not remember who. The mirrors, again, are set at 3 different angles. One is at 45 degrees, one is at about 25 degrees, and the other one is about, 60 degrees. The mirrors, I should say, illuminated the windows on the inside of the car to the point where you could actually see the detail of the seats and the color of the area around the windows. The GoPro, when installed, extended slightly beyond the edge of the frame, and we had to build a box which did extend somewhat beyond the car. However, it wasn't enough of an extension that it interfered with the operation of the car. The camera installs like that, and it sits at a slight angle, about 15 degrees, pointed downward. The camera's proved really successful in terms of what it's shooting. In fact, it's turned out so successful that we decided a caboose car would also be a good idea. The caboose car is not finished on the outside at all. It's basically just the way the evergreen plastic came. However, the interior of the car is finished to a pretty level of detail. The camera fits vertically in the car, right? And windows in the side provide sufficient light that you could actually see the interior detail quite clearly. Also, the camera sits a little bit away from the back of the car, something we couldn't do with a passenger car, and it allows ambient light to leak in around the camera. This guy has proven to be really fun and interesting to work with. The door was left open, so you have a pretty good opening to shoot through, as well as the windows at the side, right? The downward angle was provided through experimentation. Originally, the camera was installed flat, and it just didn't work well at all. However, the shooting down solved a lot of the nastier problems. We have added weights to the bottom because, again, the camera is slightly offset. So we've got a string of weights to the far side.
The end results in all of this are pretty darn fantastic. It's really fun to be able to get right down inside the train cars this way. Moreover, the little GoPros can be stuffed into some areas other than just these cars, like up here on the roof walks. No reason we can't just set the GoPro right on top of the cars. One problem that we've encountered is that the camera produces a rather fisheye appearance, especially with objects very close to the lens. To fix this, I take the footage into After Effects and use a plug-in called Optics Compensation. I dial in the field of view to just under 70 and set reverse lens distortion, and bingo, the fisheye appearance disappears. From After Effects, I can also sort of recompose the shot, tilting up slightly, tilting down slightly, moving in slightly. This is critical when using the camera mounted in the vertical position in the caboose car. I can also shove the camera right down into the little narrow areas between the buildings and even right down on the train platforms. This way the camera can be used for trackside photos as well, just as though you're standing right next to the track. Well, that's sure cool to be able to put the camera right inside the little miniature train cars that way and get the little miniature people's eye view of what it would be like to ride on these trains. Wonderful new technology at wonderful new prices. The first time I ever tried putting a camera inside of a car was probably 20 years ago with something called a cigar camera, because it was about the size of a cigar, about the size of my thumb or maybe my pinky finger. It was $4,000, and it was trailing a cord to camera electronics that then went to the video recorder. So I could only go for a couple of feet with that thing before I just flat ran out of cable. Well, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Look for me on Vimeo, like me on Facebook, all of those kinds of things. I'm not quite sure how you found me on the web this time, but I sure hope you didn't find me boring. I'll see you here again soon.